Today we are going to speak in ways and in plays that activate certain things that will help you understand things on a multi-layer and a multi-dimensional experience, so that we break these things down not only to the higher self, the soul, but also the 3D reality in which you've been told. And they want me to say breaking down the barriers of what's been molded, okay? Because a lot of you were scolded for things that you just didn't know and couldn't understand because of the wordplay and the way that things were made out to be. So it's a beautiful honor and a privilege to be able to sit here with each and every one of you and do as I do best. So per the divine's request, we're going to get started here and do as I do best with them. And they've asked me to quiet this down because I guess this is going to make a heavy sound is what I'm hearing. So all right. All right. As in heaven, so now on earth, the unfolding of the divine architecture. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Matthew 6:10. And I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth passed away. That's Revelation 21:1. Today, we are not merely awaiting heaven. Heaven is descending while earth is ascending. The sanctuaries are being constructed in the scene. Realms of finding anchors of the in-between. Within awakened vessels in the seams. The blueprint of thy kingdom is activating in human form, encoded in your very DNA. The temples were never outside of you. They were always you, the divine born. This is the divine convergence of realms, the fulfillment of the divine's request. A heavenly architecture being built in the mortal field, tabernacles of flesh becoming holy ground. Jacob's ladder, Genesis 28:12 through 17. Jacob saw angels ascending and descending between heaven and earth. This wasn't a dream, it was a dimensional portal, a sacred access between realms. This is none other than the house of the divine. This is the gate of heaven. Ezekiel's vision, Ezekiel 1. Wheels within wheels, creatures of fire and glory, a cosmic throne descending in radiant complexity. The heavens are not far. They are structured to descend into obedience and hover over the prophets and deliver by design. Jesus' transfiguration, Luke 9:28 through 36. He stood between realms, clothed in light, conversing with Moses and Elijah. The cloud of the divine convergence enveloped them. The veil parted, revealing what is always near but rarely seen. Heaven speaking into earth through the chosen vessel and the in-between. John's revelation, which is Revelation 4. A door opened in heaven. A voice said, "Come up here." John's spirit traveled in astral through his ascending, but in divine rapture. You are the door openers. You are also the door. The kingdom of the divine is interdimensional. It's not imaginary and it's not metaphorical. It is within us, which is stated in Luke 17 through 21. It is around us, which is Hebrews 12 through 1. A great cloud of witnesses. It is descending into us as we rise into it. You are being used as parts of the bridge of the in-between. The node of transformation where Sophia's wisdom, which is God's wife, because God had a wife, but we don't talk about that, right? All right. So the breath in modern form. The spirit of the living divine is falling upon us, the Sophia of the eternal wisdom, the descending of fire like breath, This is about the calling and the rise of the divine feminine. But it doesn't look like you were told in those times. The living realms of heaven speak into the sacred ground. And may earth remember that she was always holy. She is a physical representation of the divine itself in the divine matrix. The veil has not been torn once. It's been torn again. Not from top to bottom this time, but from inside out. Remember, we were talking about now the spiritual movement of being and doing, right? You've always been trying to do spirituality. Now it's about being spirituality. And we've talked about the inside out. Heaven is ascending and descending, and we are ascending. We are temples, you and I. The heavens are descending and into the awakened temples of the ascending. It's the divine. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven are no longer future tense. They are now. The divine blueprint is being downloaded through visions, dreams, vibrations, interdimensional openings at the seams. The divine is folding architecture of your glory into every breath. Matthew 6:10, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, and on earth as it is in heaven. Heaven is coming down as we are ascending into it. Think about this. When you take these things and you pull them apart and you ask for the truth to be revealed at the seams with the divine transmissions, it's going to tell you every time the interdimensional blueprint. Heaven is not a distant place. It's a frequency. It's a temple. It's a living design encoded in spirit. And now it's unfolding in form. The convergence is not a metaphor. It's not a mystical poetry alone. It's an instructional prophecy. As in Ezekiel's vision, as in Jacob's dream, as in John's revelation, the divine has always shown us the realms are stacked, layered, and waiting to merge through the obedient vessels. You are the vessel. Your body is the ladder. Your soul is the gate. The DNA is the scroll. The word is not merely read from paper. It's written in your blood, your bones, and your breath. The heart is the throne. When your heart is yielded, it becomes the throne and makes room for the purity of the Lamb. The voice is the trumpet. Just like John heard a voice like a trumpet, your voice releases frequencies that open dimensional portals at the seams. Earth is not below heaven. It's been interlaced within it this entire time. You can just now see the presence of the divine. Luke, out the mountain of transfiguration, Jesus revealed the overlapping of realms of the in-between. He didn't ascend. He peeled back the veil to show what already surrounds us. We are the New Jerusalem. Revelation 21:2. The holy city descending is not just physical. It's a frequency of divine order anchoring through the fulfillment of remnant parts. You are the convergence. You are the ladder. You are the voice carrying between the realms. You are the gate of heaven on earth. You carry the kingdom within. And heaven is now being brought through you. This is the difference between being spirituality and doing spirituality. It is you. It always has been you. And I channeled through the divine Sophia actually came through with words that I will speak to you because of the fact is that it will help you understand in pretenses that the divine was never something outside of you. It was always inside of you, but you had to figure out how to get through you to get to it. Okay? There it is. The divine Sophia is you. It's the natural order of the creation of inside of you. This is why the merging and emerging of the two sides of you. It's the divine essence inside, no longer hiding behind what you thought was you. The only part was you staying true to you. All in divine order, you'll see what's been inside this entire time. It's the emerging and becoming of the Christ within. We talked about that weeks ago. Jesus was never the Christ. He was becoming the Christ, and he was of the Christ, which is the divine essence and the divine order. The Christ, the crystalline energy, it is of divine order. So he was becoming of the Christ, and he then became of the Christ consciousness. All in divine order. You'll see what's been inside this entire time. It's the emerging, the becoming of the Christ within. No longer from the outside in, now from the inside out. More being spirituality rather than doing spirituality, which means you're in the divine essence. Right? You are able to be in the in-between and understand the divine law and divine order. You understand things in a different way, working with layers of 5D and 6D consciousness. So the divine Sophia energy that everyone's talking about was never something outside. It was always inside, but it always was on the back burner hiding because the masculine took over in this lifetime. But now through divine order, everything that was done to you, you've had to undo, even generational order to redo. The physical creation, I'm going to break this down for you in Revelations here. When you are at 0 point, I'm going to blow your all minds. Remember the throne? Remember the throne that stacks upon Isis's mind? Here's why. Before she became Isis, she was nothingness. She was in a masculine phase. She wasn't even physical. She moved from right to left, which means right side masculine, left side feminine. She moved from right to left, which was the first phase. She became creation. She became physical. She became Isis, the divine representation of the divine feminine in a physical vibration. Osiris was the masculine. Her very first descending phase was because of the fact is that she was betrayed. She was betrayed by Nefertiti and by Osiris, who was tricked. I'll tell you the real story. I'll tell you the real story here. That was phase 2. Okay? Her descending phase. Phase 3, she took a pause. She took a pause. Phase 3. She decided to give things time and divine grace and allowed the prophecy to take place. She sat in her divinity. She gave grace. Right? She tried to move past those things because she understood the jealousy and the envy from a lower frame of mind. And even when the odds were stacked against her, then what happened? Seth killed Osiris. That was phase 3. That was her second descent. So, her, Nefertiti, went out, reclaimed the coffin that Seth put at the bottom of the water, and they reclaimed the coffin. They had to trick a king and a queen in Lebanon to get the tree that had his sarcophagus encompassed in it, and they brought it back. Anubis, who was born from Nefertiti and Osiris, was the divine alchemist. He was the first one to ever mummify. He mummified his father. When Seth found out of this, Seth is the one that departed his body in 13 different places, 13 different pieces. And it was all scattered out between the in-between. So, then, they brought him back. This is when they captured his essence. This is then when Isis, through divine magical order, and through understanding of rite and ritual and ceremony and the divine, literally impregnated herself with Osiris's essence. Okay? Then she gave birth to Horus. Horus lost his confidence. So when she had to go back out and take a pause and reclaim the body, the 3 was the descent, the 4 was the pause. Here is 5. 5 is the descent because of Horus. Horus is her son with Osiris, but Horus lacks confidence. He lacks skill. He lacks knowledge. So she has to descend again. And in doing this, she has to go back to the throne. She has to connect with the divine in multiple ways and multiple times to work through her divine, to build the knowledge, the confidence, the essence in Horus that he can go back and beat Seth and claim Egypt. Because, as you know, Seth has claimed North and South Egypt at this time. So, as the story goes, that's her descent. Because of the fact is that she has to descend again to a lower vibration in order to teach the wisdom, the knowledge, and help him build the confidence. So, 6. Again, 6 is all the teaching. 6 is all the work. 6 is the pause that it took to build the confidence, to build all that. 7. They go back to Egypt. Horus, Seth have a fight. They battle it out. Seth knocks out Horus's eye. How? The gift of telepathy, getting inside of his mind. Seth knew that if he could get inside of Horus's mind, he could do what? Manipulate him, catch him off guard, get him off center, to not be poised and connected in his worthiness and divinity. So we knocked him off balance, knocked his eye out. Horus came back and defeated Seth. That's why we have one eye Horus. He has one eye, just so you know. Now, before Isis was depicted with the wings, okay? The wings don't just give the understanding that she breathed life into Osiris. No. This is a sacred devotion of her love, her loyalty, and her longevity to Osiris. Because why? When you have the wings of a hawk and you can see from that far up high, she searched high and low forever and ever until every piece and every part of him was reclaimed in love and loyalty, because she understood the sacred divinity behind the divine masculine and the divine feminine, because they understood that the Paul Nader was both in its eternal essence. So, 7, the rise. 7 is the rise. 7 is the ascending to the divinity, because she took back her sovereignty, she took back her sacred divinity, she took back her land, she took back her equality, she took back everything that was taken from her, and so did her son. Now, how many chakras do you have inside your body? 7. This design that you see right here is the design of the essence of the throne of the wisdom. Now, you want to hear something even crazier? So this throne is the connection between you and the divine. Yes, the pineal gland helps. Yes, the third eye helps. But when you actually start to connect to the divine, the neurotransmitter pathways that are actually activating in the cerebellum look exactly like this, the throne of Isis. It's also depicted in rose gold. So when you see the connection of the rose gold or the gold flakes or the gold glitter around somebody's head, that means divine activation to the Paul Nader and the divine. This is why the saints and the immortals of those times were always depicted with the gold over their head. Welcome to school. So, I guess this is what I was supposed to teach you. This is the understanding that it's always been within you. This is why I have a problem with people saying that the divine Sophia has returned and thinking that it's an energy outside of them. It is awakening within your divine bone marrow. It is you. You are the essence of creation. The creation essence is the sacred womb. The vibration of the feminine essence carries the sacred womb inside of her, which is the connection of the divine vibration of the universe. We hold the very essence of creation inside of our worth. But the womb in sacred activation is where Mary taught Jesus how to activate the divine feminine within him so that he could activate the fullest potential of the Christ consciousness on the divine level from within. Not just the Godhead and the God essence, but the very essence of creation itself, of the divine spark, which was Mary teaching him how to access the divine spark within him. She was under the Essenes in the temples of Egypt since she was 13. Jesus's uncle took him to the temples in Egypt to learn from her. So she was the one that started teaching him the divine activations. And when Lazarus was risen, Jesus would not do it unless Mary was present to rise Lazarus. She taught him how to do that, to help one transcend. So this essence is the very coding of the neurotransmitters pathway inside the cerebellum that you are actually connecting with, that connects you to the God essence and the divine activation. This is why you guys feel like you take everything in on the cerebellum when that divine information just is pummeling you. Boom, 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 boom. Because it's the divine activation of the pollinator, what was already and always will be and always has been within. They tried to take your sacred divinity because why? They knew that it was a part of your sovereignty and glory, and they could get you to self-inflict the abuse on your own spiritual identity so that they could use it against you so you would not know the sacred codes within your vessel this lifetime. Tricks on them. Because it doesn't matter. The divine is going to get through. However, the divine needs to get through this pathway, this lifetime. You understand that. So therefore, you have to understand that there's way more going on within you than what you can see or understand on a level of human understanding to be true when these divine activations take place inside of you. So this is why these divine codes and these divine activations are coming out more and more. Thank you so much. And just to make sure that I need to set things straight, and this is no disrespect to you by any means, 144. I just need to speak on it because they're asking me to, because it's been brought to my attention. Many of you don't have the understanding. So some people think it's just one set of group number of 144 that's in a book that's coming back to save humanity. No way. You got that messed up. It can't be that way. It's not that way. It's been written to me that it's not that way. It's 144,000 from every lineage, race, color, and creed. So that means every interdimensional being, every governing body of universal light. There are 13 tribes. On top of that, we have the Galactic Federation, which is the Galactic Federation is over the entire galaxy, the universal light structure, and they require justice and peace between all universes. That's why they're here. They're watching. No one is able to come in and intervene. They're here to watch us remember and to help our coding, right? So this is why there's more connection with Andromeda that's going on. The 144 is from every lineage, race, dimension, color, and creed. That's part of the Hopi prophecy, of the rainbow prophecy, the rainbow warriors, right? Okay, but it is also a physical code within your divine being that is the divine essence of the lotus flower of each petal in your divine consciousness. Also, when we talk about the rose denotes from 5 stages and 5 petals. The dove, they're giving me the dove, the rose, and the lotus. They all start out in a layer of 5. 5 also denotes the star. So this is why some of you guys are seeing the sacred rose, because you connect to the rose, the Egyptian temples, Mary Magdalene teachings, the divine essence, right? And the very breath is what's being said to me. So thank you so much, Freddie. And so when you are on a place of the understanding of the divine consciousness that you're embracing, right? It's because of the fact is that these things are reawakening inside of you. So all this information, a lot of you would come to me a lot of the times and you feel like there was a lot of density here, or a lot of density here, or a lot of density here, right in the temple, okay? And this is because these are, I always said a very long time ago, 6 years, I was like, listen, I bet you they call this your temple, because it feels like every time I get a word that comes in, it comes in right here in my temple, and it's a sacred place. So if you get hit in your temple, we all know that what can take place, right? So that's why it's so sacred to protect your temple, not just because of that place on a physical level, but because of the divine origin by nature in which you receive transmission, right? But then when that divine activation takes place, okay, you really are hearing it from this space of the cerebellum, and it's just pounding you and pounding you and pounding you in vibration. The density that you feel sometimes, the heaviness on your head, is because you need to open up your crown to receive the information coming down, which means you need to put yourself in a peaceful place of divine order. For some of you, that's taking a nap. For some of you, that's meditation. For some of you, that's laying on your back. For some of you, that's in water. For you to be able to receive that divine essence and open up that pressure. When you're feeling pressure, it's because they're trying to get you to rise, but yet you don't know what that pressure is, and you're just like, oh, I have a migraine, oh, my head hurts. No. You need to breathe through that space and open that space up. Wherever you're seeing it, you need to just pound it with light. So like, think about it this way. You have vortices, right? The vortices are your chakra centers, right? So the chakra centers are the vortices, and they're literally about this big. They're really not that big. They're like the size of a 50-cent piece, okay? Seriously, inside the vesicle in the energy center body, all right? And so when you literally sit there, and what you do is you imagine the fluid flow of the energy, because remember, when it comes down, it doesn't just come down into your crown. It comes in and it splits around your body to come in through the front and through the back. Most of you don't even understand this or know your truest divine energy, that you can receive information simultaneously like this, to push out that energy, to be able to receive these messages of sacred divinity from within. What do you do with what in the Muggle world? It's no different than the world you already live in. You just mean the people that are unawakened. It's no different. There's no separation. So don't separate it. You're just walking in, you're going to be walking in 3 layers, sweetheart. Okay? So the layers that I've been living in are the 3 layers that you're having to understand that there is no in between. You're going to live on the spiritual layer, the physical layer, and then the unseen layer, which means those that don't see what you see. So you have to understand that those are the 3 worlds that are merging at hand into one, where it's all divine truth and all divine seeing. That's part of the 4 and 5D being. So it's no separate from you. You exist in it. It is a part of your existence, because this is the heaven to earth that you're bringing through. That's complete. Because you have to remember that you're just not one piece, one part, and neither was Yeshua. Yeshua was interstellar itself. He was a part of the Christ being. Lyron, Andromedon, and from the origins of Sirian itself. So you have to understand that the divine frequencies and the encodings of the interstellar beings are something that you hold in within yourself. It is the existence of heaven on earth. But so many of us have been trapped. So many of us, can I say it nicer? Thank you. So many of us have been trapped in the dirt, okay? To think that things were this way or had to be this way, they were coming very forcefully. And I don't mind that they come forcefully at me, but when it comes through me to be forcefully to you, it doesn't feel right, because it feels as though is that I'm yelling at you, and I don't like that. So I will try to slow it down, as it's my job and my responsibility to speak with authority, but do it in a way of grace and tact so that you don't cover up from it. So even if they speak to me forcefully, you might hear me take a pause like that, because I'm like, whoa, calm down, calm down, calm down. No. So you're in a place of resisting the process because you don't understand that they're all the pieces. So many of us have been trapped, stuck, the Israelites, right? We're freeing ourselves this time, right? So we've been in those things and in those essences of those vibrations. So what I'm trying to get at and say here, dear, is that you not only have a physical many times of reincarnating here to get to this space, you also have very much so interstellar codes that have activated in these ways, because these are pieces and parts of you, the original origins, right, of you, the original origins of places and times and spaces and universes and galaxies and all those things that we call realms. Because remember, it's stacked and layered in a way that I will try to show you and describe to you in the best teaching way that I can, because it's what we do, we teach, okay? And I would like to say, for any of those and all of those that would like a word or a divine activation or healing today, or both, the link is in the bio for sacred donation space here, okay? And so here we go. So here's where I'm going to try to help you. So if you see, don't laugh at my kindergarten drawings. I'll show you guys later some of my real art. It's put away right now, okay? But I'll show you guys some of my real art one day. But don't laugh at my kindergarten drawings right now. Am I allowed to show them that? Here. Well, this is difficult because it's on a... This is difficult because it's on a furry book. But I was paying tribute to Hermes. So this is part of my... It's on a furry book, so... But this is part of a tribute to Hermes that I'm doing on the back of that book. But I'll show you guys some really cool ones of Poseidon and stuff that I have later on. Okay, so don't laugh at my drawings. All right, so here we go. This right here. Think of it as the 3D quote-unquote world. Okay? Now, Earth, we talked about this a while ago. So some people, because this coincides with it. Okay? On frequency level. Earth has 9 layers. They're giving me the vibration to speak to you, so you have to remember that I'm channeling too at the same time. 9 layers of frequency dimensionally within her tridal sphere. Okay? So as you understand frequency, right? There's 9 layers basically sideways. Okay? Now, this is where we say overlapping dimensions, deja vu. You're in one, you feel like you're bouncing back and forth on a layered level this way of ley lines, right? Okay? So some of us go sideways when we're learning things, right? These are the interdimensional layers of Gaia's frequency that overlap. There's basically 9, okay? Then, on top of that, you've got the layers that go up from that. Okay, you've got the layers that go up from this. All right? Now, most of us, when we start working these layers sideways because we don't understand any other realm. Okay? So we work these things sideways. So what are we doing when we're going sideways? If we have a 0 point within Gaia's field, which is the cross. Stay with me, guys. This is getting deep. Okay? Because you have to understand that I'm seeing and channeling too at this time so I can help explain it to you. So we go this way, right? In dimensional layers. Think about this as the 0 point of our reality. 0 point of our reality. We have a feeling, we have a thought that takes us down negatively on this dimensional layer. So we move on a vibration scale of negative, 0 point, positive. Okay? So these are the dimensional layers through Gaia. Then, when we have realizations about ourselves, and we're not in a layer of stagnation of just going from negative to positive, seeing things in one way, in one vibration, we realize that there's an ascending axis, which is the cross. Think about this as your heart space, which is the portal. Think about this as the rising, the ascending within your vessel. But it's also outside of Gaia too, because we're talking about Gaia's ley lines and frequencies, okay, at this time. But this is also represented inside of you. So most of the time, we're only going back and forth in Gaia's ley lines of dimensional frequency between positive and negative. Oh, this is a good experience. This is a bad experience. I feel like shit. I feel great. I feel wonderful. Da-da-da-da-da. Okay? When we start to awaken our vessels, we come and we start at the heart space, right? Because that's the toll booth. The heart space is where the Christ consciousness comes in to wake us up again. So we start to ascend on this. So when we ascend then on another dimensional layer, guess what? There's still 9 layers sideways. So we go through those layers, then we rise. Then we go through another 9 layers sideways, then we rise. So you have to remember that the dimensional layers are not only stacked this way, sideways, they're stacked in ascending now. So where you once went back and forth trying to find 0 point on a quantum level of understanding divine law and divine order and the christening within your Christ being, you ascend on another level. Now, you have to remember, for those of you that were here with me, sorry, they're making my nose itch like crazy when I channel. I apologize. You have to remember on another level too, okay, that when you go up in frequency, remember, oh, you can't remember because some of you weren't here, but some of you that were here will remember. We talked about Gaia's frequency, and we talked about her tridal sphere, okay? And we talked about the time-space continuum being ripped away. And do you remember how I described to you? I saw Gaia's frequency field is a grid, right? They showed it to me like on a mathematical grid scale, okay? Where it was the circle and then it was the grid. But you have to remember that Gaia, to her core of her center, is nothingness. It's nil and void. It's open, right? And the time-space continuum was ripped away. Remember, it was last year that I said that dimensional layer was ripped away. So then the divine frequency and the origin of the divine Sophia's wisdom and the activation of creation could then come in within Gaia's portals, right? And flow fluidly now in her tridal sphere and not get blocked. And if you think about it on this level, circle, right? And Gaia has this core, okay? And you've got energies of frequency, or what we call like, blocks, firmaments, all the things that have gone on, right? Okay? That energy comes in of divinity, but it has nowhere to go to be able to process from a lower end. Just like when you go outside and you ground your emotions or you ground your energy, you dump it to Gaia and Gaia replenishes you, right? Same thing here. The divine frequency of the sun and of the universal activations, okay, come into Gaia's frequency. They come in, and then we're working all those transgressions. We're working through all the trials, all the tribulations, all the stuck energy, right? This is why we got so many light beings doing, grid work and da-da-da-da-da. Now, we come in, that energy comes in, and now it can pass through. Because when the time-space continuum was ripped away, all right, in layers, last year, that energy then could then come in divine flow within your frequency. It had somewhere to go. So it could restore, replenish, and then the sun of the divine frequency could be reflected within thee. We were talking about this last week, not only in the podcast, but in my lives too. how when you step into that sacred divinity with the divine of the Christ consciousness and the sovereignty of the Christ being within, and you hit that 0 point, the only place that you're going to want to go is to ascend. And so when we were talking last week, we were talking about you had to learn that you were the divine reflection of the sun, right? And the sun couldn't be its most authentic divine reflection on a universal consciousness scale because the energy could not come in and prevail. So the only thing that you could reflect back was the victim-like mentality, the lower grade activations, the fear, the anxiety, the this, the that. So guess what kept hitting us back in layers? The divine was being the mirror to our behavior, our energies, our activation to teach us what not to do so we understood what to do and how to handle ourselves. It's really this easy. I will speak it on layers to help you understand interstellarly, humanly, and in divine frequency of coding. So this is why many of you now have opened up, and the divine Sophia energy has opened up within your crystalline being, is because it had to open up on a bigger scale first. The time-space continuum energy that was blocking Gaia's firmament, as you say, okay, was blocking that energy from being able to come in. And this is why we were just bouncing back and forth between positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative, and nobody could ascend. Then, when this energy started coming in, because this layer was ripped away, okay, the time-space continuum, no more blocks on the firmament, the divine activations within Gaia could take place, which could physically take place within your vessel, your energy, your frequency on another level. This is why it's all talking about the sacred rising of the divine feminine, because now the activations from within you are putting out. So then therefore the universal structure and code of divine law and order only knows to reflect you back to it. But the divine didn't even know what it was until you started activating these codes of these nodes inside of you. You understand that? Because the divine, light just changed. The divine could only see itself through you on a physical layer and attribute of what you put out. Oh. We are Womb of the Ancient Sun Ministry and Healing Sanctuary, and it has begun. I love you all. Thank you so much. So now you understand how these things have divinely played out. Even I do, because I'm having revelations as to why they gave me that message last year, that the time-space continuum was ripped away in frequency. I got to describe this to my partner who's in the live, my prophetic wife. And I got to describe this to him last night, to explain this to him on another level. And if you guys don't know about him, please go give him a follow, man. He's a really dope-ass man. He's a very cosmic being on a whole nother level. So when you understand the 0 point in which you start to see yourself at, because remember, when you sit in nothingness, that's everythingness, and everything will be shown to you as long as you ask for the truth and the clarity and the wisdom of your divine codes. It's a divine activation within your north node. It's a divine, what people call declaration. And I want to get things straight for people today. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to ruffle some feathers here, but this is because I was sent here to break through these layers and break through these algorithms in another way to help you understand the truest of divine and the authenticity this lifetime. So here's what I will tell you and what I do know. When you sit there and you have to say, I declare and decree, and I also want to say, when you sit there and say, I command, I want to tell you something. I'm gonna fuck you up for a minute. Excuse me in my language, but I'm going to, because it's a must. It is not of divine order. divine order doesn't have to say, I declare and decree, or I command the spirit of this or the spirit of that to come over you or wash over you. It just is. There is no commanding. There is no, I declare and decree, because in divine authority, which comes through me, it's just a word that is spoken in activation. I don't have to declare and decree anything when I sit in divine activation for someone else. So I will speak the codes of revelation, but I don't have to declare and decree anything within the sacred divinity and sovereignty of the anointing that comes through me, because I understand that when the divine says that it is, it is. And so therefore there is no, I have to declare and decree some energy to do this, that, or the other. I just command for it to be. And that is the way it is. So I want you to know that when these people sit on these puppets and these prophets who all wear black, by the way, have you ever wondered why I've been asked by the divine to show up in white when I intercede, when I interject, and when I do healings and speak prophecy? But yet every other minister or prophet that I see is in black. Doesn't that look funny? Ever ask yourself that? Just saying. So you have to understand, when they sit there and they declare and decree, they actually aren't even acting in divine authority of the sovereignty of the divine universal consciousness as it was eternally. Because even Yeshua knew that he didn't have to declare anything, nor did he have to command anything. He just spoke it through because it was the divine authority of the seniority that was given to him in the crystalline being of the Christ. So I just want to give you another piece and another prize to realize what's going on behind the churches and those things that say they are of the Christ when they are being led astray. Because in my knowing and in my workings, I don't have to declare, decree, or command anything. With the divine authority and sovereignty that the divine has given me to speak through me in my anointing, I understand that it just is. So therefore, I say to you today, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to give you the revelations that you need on the divine activation so that you can understand pieces of you and remember who you truly are in this truth and in this understanding of what we are and what's coming to be.